Thank you, Ivan.
Okay. So, okay, my name is Ivan Font. I am a technical lead in Dynamics 365. I am a solution architect too. And well, today what I was trying to show you is some thoughts about the warehouse management application. Uh, well, first of all, I want to thank all the sponsors that have made it possible. Okay. And well, I hope you will like it. First of all, I want to show you the main contents of my presentation. Okay. I have split it in two main sections and an extra one. Okay. The first sections, it's related to the development scenario that we could find in the Dynamics 365 device application. Okay, we will see the different frameworks that we can use to extend to customize the different menu items that you can find in the warehouse application. We're going to see a comparison between these frameworks. We're going to see which of them are the best to use. Okay, we're going to do a new process, a new example of a new menu item. It will be related to the an inbound quality order validation. Okay, as you know, in the application nowadays you don't have any inbound quality order validation process, so we are going to create it. Okay, in the last part of this section, we are going to see how the standard switches between the frameworks that we are going to see. Okay, and this this is going to be the developer scenario part. Okay, the next part is going to be related to the GS1 feature. GS1 is a standard codification that helps most of the logistics platforms in order to communicate between them using barcodes. Okay, we are going to see the main characteristics of the GS1 feature. We're going to see how we can set up it in Dynamics 365 F&O, and we're going to see a real case. Okay, different examples of the usage of this feature. Okay, and the last part, the extra one, we're going to see some news about a new feature that has been released in the latest versions about creating and customizing the different steps and the icons and the tiles in the warehouse application. Okay, so well, let us start with the development scenario part. First of all, I want to tell you the key concept of the warehouse management application. Okay, the warehouse management application, the mobile app, does not have any function itself, so it is just an XML translator or an interpreter. Okay, so you cannot do any action in the application itself. Okay, the flow with between the device and the application is the following. In the device, you can see a screen telling you the information about some fields, and you can have some buttons in it, the OK button, the cancel button, and so on. What the device is going to do when you click the OK button, for example, is to build an XML file, okay, and it will send this file to Dynamics 365 environment. Okay, Dynamics 365 environment is going to translate this XML and is going to do the action itself. Okay, so the action is going to be done in the environment. Okay, after that, the result of the action is going to be translated to an XML again, and it will go back through the device. So the device will interpret this XML and will show us the screen, the following screen in terms of form. Okay, so it's the key concept that the application does not have any function. So for example, if you try to create a button in the application and you want it to open the browser in the device, you are not going to, to get this action done because the code is executed in the Dynamics 365 environment, not in the device. Okay, this is an example of the usage. Okay, having it in mind, we can go through the different frameworks that are used in the Dynamics application device. We have two main frameworks. Okay, the first one is called Warehouse Framework. Is the old one. Why I was saying that is the old one because it comes from the AX 2012. Okay, the main characteristic of this framework is that it's so complex to extend and customize because all of the code is in the same method of the class as we are going to see in the following slides. Okay, so that's why in Dynamics 365 you can find another framework that is called Process Guide Framework. The Process Guide Framework has some characteristics. One of them is that you don't have the WHS prefix in it. It is because the Process Guide Framework was created to do process not for the warehouse, but the other areas. So you can have processes related with the sales order, purchase orders, or the inventory management. So you don't have to have just warehouse processes in it. Okay. The other characteristic of the process guide framework is that the classes and the code are split in multiple classes, and you can extend and customize it easier than in another framework. Okay. Let's begin with the first framework in order to see the difference between them. You have four main classes. The main classes are these four. And the first two classes are related with the XML translator between the device and the application. So know more about it. The last class is related to the control of the data of each of the fields that you can fill in the device. So this class is responsible for doing the validation of the different fields. For example, if you have a field requesting an item ID, this class will control that you have filled an item ID. Okay. The third class is the WSHS work execute display is the main class of the processes. As you know, you have so many processes that you can execute in the warehouse application. So each of them has one work execute display class. So you can substitute the X in the end of the class for the process name you are executing. For example, you can have the WHS work execute display purchase order, work execute display item inquiry, and so on. But well, the main characteristic of this class is the one that you can see in the image. The main method of this class is called display form. As you can see here, display form is the one responsible for doing all the steps in this process. So you have a switch statement, okay, and inside of it you have different cases. Each of the cases is related to one of the steps that you are performing in the device. So when you are starting a new process, you have the case 0. When you are clicking the OK button, you have the case 1, and so on. So if you're trying to extend or customize one of the standard menu items, it is impossible to do because you can't put your code between each of the cases. It is the main problem and the main characteristic of the WHS framework. Okay. Image below, you can see the main flow of the information between the device and the Dynamics 365 environment using the WHS framework. You have in the left part of the image the device itself with XML, and in the right part the Dynamics environment with the translation of this XML. In the middle, you can see that you have the WHS work execute display class doing all the process itself. Okay, in the end of the process, the translator takes the information, constructs the XML, and the device interprets it. Okay. So once you have seen the warehouse framework, we have to know about the new one, the process guide framework. The process guide framework has some objects involved. Okay. These are the main ones, but not all of them are mandatory to use. So you have the process guide controller. The process guide controller, as you can see in the following slides, is the main class of the process guide framework. It contains the sequence of all the steps that are going to be performed in the device. Okay. The process guide step class contains each of the steps that has to be performed. So in one controller, you can have 3 or 4 step classes in it. The other class that is important to know is the process guide page builder. The process guide page builder class is the one responsible for construction or building the screen that we will see, that we want to see in the device. Okay. Here you can see the flow using the process guide framework. As you can see in the image, the logic of the process is the same that in the other framework. It comes from the work execute display, but goes through the process guide framework. Okay. Here you can see a comparison between each of the frameworks. As I said before, you have the main class of the WHS framework that contains a method called display form. This display form contains all of the steps that have to be performed in the device process. Okay. On the other hand, you have the process guide framework with the main class. The main class is the controller, as I said. It has a method called initialize navigation route, and it contains the sequence of the steps that are going to be performed. So the main characteristic that you can see in this image is that if you want to extend or add some steps between them or to customize something, you can extend this method very easy and you can add steps between them. Okay. Because each of the steps represent one class in the process. Okay. So let's take a look at an example to know better how this structure has been. Okay. Well, as I said before, we are doing an event quality order validation. Okay. As you know, you can do it by standard going to Dynamics environment, but okay, we are doing the following. We are giving, we're scanning a quality order ID by scanning a barcode or by entering it manually. Okay, we are reviewing that the quality order entered is the correct one. Okay, and after that, we are doing the validation process in the device. Okay? So, which are the objects that you need to perform this action? First of all, you need the process guide page builder. Okay? The process guide page builder are constructing or building each of the screens that we want to see in the device. Okay? Each of the screens are related to one of the steps of this process. As you can see, you have 3 steps and just 2 page builder. As I said, one of the first step is scanning the quality order. The second is reviewing the information that about this quality order. And the last step is validating this quality order. So the last step class is an unattended class. Okay, as you can see, as you will see in the following slides, the extension of this class is different from the others. Okay. In the last part, you have the controller. As I said before, you have a controller telling which are the sequence of the steps that have to be performed in the device process. Okay. Okay, but we need some more objects. One more object is the process guide data type names. In the device, what you have is every of the fields that are present in the device has a name. Okay, you can have an Inman license plate ID, but Inman batch ID, item ID. Okay, so in the XML, they are represented by a string, okay, telling which is the content of this field. So because we don't have the inventory quality implemented in the warehouse mobile application, we have to create this constant string in order to tell the device which is the content of this field that we are going to create in it. Okay, so we have to extend this class and create a new type of field that it was called inventory quality order. Okay. Another object that we need is an extension of the WHS work activity. When you are setting up a new menu item in Dynamics 365, you have to tell each of the menu items which is the process that has to be performed. So it is represented by an enum. Okay, so you have to create a new one just to tell which is the process that you have to do. Okay. Plus one is another enum extension that is related to which is the class that has to be executed in order to do the process. As you can see, the WHS work activity and the work execute mode have the same name in the enum value because the standard does this relation. Okay, so let's take a look at the process deeper. Okay, you have the first step. The first step, we need a quality order ID. So the class that is above, you can see that this is a step class extending the process guide step. And you can see that there are 2 methods in it. The isComplete method and the page builder name method. In the isComplete method, what we are doing is just a validation that we have filled the inventory quality order ID in the screen in order to continue to the other screen. The other method that is called page builder name, what she's telling is which of the page builder classes are related with this step. Okay. In the image below, you have the page builder class. Okay. In the page builder class, you have 2 methods. One related to the add data controls. Here, what we are doing is to create the field that will contain the inventory quality order ID. And the method below is containing the OK and the cancel button of the screen. Okay? So in the second step of the process, we are reviewing the information. So here we have two classes again, the process guide step class and the page builder. The process guide step, you can see that there is only one method that is called a page builder name, because you are not doing anything in this step. You are just reviewing that the information is correct. Okay. So in the page builder class, you have two methods again, adding the data controls and the action controls. In the data controls, we just have the invent quality order ID that we have entered before. Okay. In the add data controls, you have in the add action control, sorry, we have the action OK and the action cancel button. Okay. Thus, in the final step, we have the validation of the quality order itself. You can see the difference between this step and the other ones. This step class is extending the process guide step without prompt, which is telling is that we don't need a page builder to complete this step because it's an unattended step. Okay, so here you have different methods. You have the do execute method and the completed message method. In the do execute method, we have the validation process, the standard validation process of a quality order. Okay, and in the completed message method, you have the message that we will see in the screen once the process has been successful. Okay, let's see example of this process. You can see that in the image above, you have a quality order, the first one. It is in an open status, so we can validate this order. What you're going to see in the video is that we are entering manually the quality order ID. You can scan it by the camera or by a device, but we are entering it manually. You can see that the following screen, you're going to see that the review information, just the quality order ID that we have entered. And the last part will be the validation of the quality order. Okay, let's see the video about this validation process. First of all, we're entering the value of the quality order ID. We are checking that the values are correct. And when we click the huge button OK, we're validating the quality order, and we can see the validation message above. Okay. So here you have seen a process built with the new framework, but how the system knows which of the frameworks has to use. Okay, so here you have an example of a process, an item inquiry process that has two of the frameworks, the WHS framework and the process guide framework. You can see that the WHS work execute mode related to the enum value is the same, okay? But there's a difference between each of them in terms of configuration. When you are setting up this menu item in Dynamics 365, you can check this checkbox in the device menu item. When you click this checkbox, you are telling the system that you want to use the process guide framework instead of the warehouse old one. Okay. There are some processes that has the new framework implemented. Some of them are the ones that you can see in the right image, the start prod order, the item inquiry, or the location inquiry, and so on. So this is the way that you can tell Dynamics which of the frameworks you want to use. Okay. Okay, that was all the development scenario part. Developers can relax now, and we're going to go through a more functional part, talking about the GS1 feature. The GS1 feature is a feature that was released some versions ago. Okay. You can enable it in the feature management workspace. Okay. And well, it has some main characteristics that I want to share you before telling you how to set up it in Dynamics 365 F&O. Just one main characteristics is that it's a standard codification in order to have in a simple barcode as much information as we can. Okay, in the image, in the right image, you can see two barcodes, and the first one is containing item information, quantity information, and the expiration date of the batch number. In the image below, you can see that there is only the license plate, but the main characteristic is that we can read this code in order to obtain all of the information in just one read. Okay. So one of the main characteristics is that this is a standard. It is a standard across the world, and you can use it to communicate among different logistic platforms. Okay. It is well documented. You can find lots of PDFs and documentation across the internet. And well, in terms of Dynamics, it's so easy to set up, as you will see in the following slides. It's so easy to set up and to use. And the last main characteristic is that it's highly compatible with all of the devices that you can buy. Okay, most of the devices can read or support this kind of GS1 barcode codification. Okay, let's see an example of a GS1. Here you have in the right image a GS1, an example, and you can see a table containing the main application identifiers that you can find in a barcode. So when you read this barcode with a device, you will have something like that. Okay, let's try to explain each of the parts that are contained in this barcode. The first one is escape character. The escape character, called FNC1, is telling the device that what is going to read is a GS1 barcode. Okay? The following characters is an application identifier. Okay? This application identifier is telling the device that the following representation will be, in this example, the license plate of the item or the product. Okay? It is a fixed length structure, so you will have 18 positions. In these 18 positions, you will have the license plate. After that, you will find another application identifier. For example, the 37. 37 is telling that you are going to find the quantity. Okay, the quantity is a non-fixed length field. So in the end of this field, you will find another escape character. It's a group separator. Okay, it's a special character used by GS1 in order to split the non-fixed variables. The following one, for example, can be the 10. 10 is telling that we are going to read the batch number information. Okay, it's a non-fixed one again, and you're going to see that we have the batch number here. Okay, so it's the main idea of how GS1 works. Okay, so we're going to set up it in Dynamics 365. In Dynamics 365, you have a new module called GS1 under Warehouse Management and Setup. And in it, you can find 3 menu items. The first of the menu items, that is called Application Identifiers, you are setting up the different application identifiers that you can find in a GS1 barcode. So you can have the 00 telling that is a license plate, or the 17 telling that is a expiry date. You can set up if it's a fixed length, telling the length, and which is the type of the data that you are reading, if it's numeric or a date or something like that. Okay. You don't have to know this configuration because Dynamics has put a button in the action pane to create the default setup. So if you click this button, Dynamics will fill the table and the form with the standard information of the GS1. Okay. The next menu item that we can see is the generic setup menu item. So here, as you remember, as I said before, in the device, you have each of the field in the device related to a constant string, telling which is the content of this string. Inman match ID, license plate ID, or location, something like that. Here, what you are doing is to make a relation between each of these fields with an application identifier. So if you have the exp date field in the device, you know that the 17 application identifier is related to the expiration date of the product. Okay. Also, as the last menu item, you don't have to know the default configuration of the device because you have the create default setup button in the action pane in order to create this default configuration. So if you click here, Dynamics will fill the table with this information. Okay. And the last of the menu items that you have to set up is the most important part of the GS1. Imagine that you have a purchase receiving menu item, menu in the device, sorry, and you want to use the GS1 in it. So what you're telling in this menu item is which are each of the application identifiers that you want to read from the barcode scanned in this menu of the device. So for example, in the purchase receiving, you have the expiration date, the Amman badge ID, the item ID, the license plate, and the quantity. Okay. After that, you're going to relate this GS1 policy to each of the menu items that you want to use it. Okay. Okay. After that, we just need one more setup in Dynamics 365. You can see in the image that in the warehouse management parameters, you have 2 parameters that have to be set up. One is the FNC1 character, that is the character that is in the beginning of the barcode that is telling us that the following code will be a GS1. Okay. The other parameter that you have to fill is the group separator. The group separator is the one related to the non-fixed fields that, as we said before, okay, for example, between a quantity and another one. Okay. So let's go to see an example of how to GS1 is working. Okay. We are using the item inquiry menu item. You can see in the image a barcode. This barcode contains the application identifier 01 and a barcode of the product. Okay, so first of all, we create a GS1 policy. In this GS1 policy, we're telling that we are reading the item ID with the application identifier 01. Okay, and we are assigning it to the menu item that we are going to use. Okay, so in the video that you are going to see, we're going to read by the camera this barcode. You're going to see that Dynamics will identify which is the product related to this barcode, and it would tell us the on-hand available of this product. Okay, so let's see the process. We're clicking the item inquiry menu item. We are reading it using the camera. Can you see you can see the escape character at the beginning of the code that you're reading, and Dynamics can identify that the product was the P0004. Okay, and it tells us the on-hand available. Okay, let's try another example, a more difficult example, that is the license plate inquiry. You can see in this barcode that you have the license plate in the beginning, the quantity in the middle of it, and the batch number in the end of the barcode. Okay, so we have to set up a GS1 policy telling which are the different fields that are present in the barcode. We have the IMEI batch, the license plate ID, and the quantity. So what you are going to see in the video is that we are reading this barcode using the camera, and Dynamics has the ability to split this code and identify the license plate in order to tell us which is the stock of the on-hand available of this item. You're going to see it. We're clicking the license plate inquiry. We're reading the code. You can see the escape character in the beginning of the code. And Dynamics shows us the license plate on hand available. Okay. Okay, let's try another more difficult. Okay. Imagine that you have the license plate not in the beginning, but in the end of the barcode or in the middle. It's the same. The GS1 policy that we have set up is the same than the other. The only difference is that you have the license plate in the end of the barcode instead of the other one. So what you're going to see in the video is that Dynamics can identify where the license plate is using the GS1 feature. Let's go to see this. We're clicking the license plate inquiry. We are reading the code. You can see the group separator between the variable ones and the license plate with the on-hand available successfully read it. Okay. Okay, so we are gonna do I think that is the most complex menu in the device, and the menu that takes a long time to do manually. Okay, so we're going to do a purchase reception. A purchase reception. In this purchase reception, you're going to need the first barcode is telling us which is the purchase order that we want to receive. Okay. The second barcode is a GS1 standard barcode telling us about the product, about the expiration date of the batch number, and the quantity that we want to receive. Okay. The third barcode will tell about the license plate that we are reading, and the batch number that that contains its product. Okay. The last one that tells Summit is the vendor batch number about this reception. Okay. So what you're going to see in this video is we are reading the purchase order. We're going to read the item information just one time. We are going to read the license plate information just one time, and the Summit barcode just one time. Okay. You have to know that in the video, I have some passes in order to you to see the process itself, but it can be so fast, okay, to do. Let's try to do it. You will see that we are clicking the purchase receive button. We are scanning the purchase order from the barcode. Later, we are scanning the item barcode, telling us about the product, the expiration date, and the quantity. Okay. We are reviewing this information. We have one of quantity. Okay. And we are requested to read the following information. We have to scan a license plate. So let's scan the license plate with the batch number in it. Okay. In the last part, you need the vendor batch number. We are reading the Summit barcode. And in the last part, we just have to accept the process, and Dynamics will do the reception of the purchase order. Okay, we're going to see this. Okay, work completed. We have the reception done. So let's take a look on the results. Okay, what you have here in the image above is the GS1 policy that we have set up to use this menu item. Okay, and in the image below, you can see the result of the reception. You have the batch number 10004. Okay, the expiration date that we have entered in the barcode. Okay, and the vendor batch number that we have put Summit in it. Okay, so the reception has been successful. Okay, let's take a look at a final comparative in terms of purchase reception between GS1 disabled or enabled. In the time of this session, that it takes about 50 minutes approximately, one worker doing this reception with the GS1 disabled had to enter these values manually. Okay, so it takes 2 minutes for each of the receptions. Okay, with the GS1 enabled, it takes only 20 seconds per each of the receptions. Okay, so the number of receptions done by the worker with the GS1 disabled was 25. But the one who has GS1 enabled has done 150 receptions. So you have a 600% of improvement approximately. It depends on the worker, it depends on the system, the reception. Okay, so you can have an improvement having the GS1 enabled. Okay. So the last part and the extra part of the presentation, we'll talk about a new feature that was released and was introduced to Dynamics that is called user settings, icons, and step titles for the new warehouse app. What we can do with this feature is to customize, and in terms of code, okay, customize and extend the different steps that are performed in the device, and you can switch between some icons, some tiles. Okay, you can put a different title to each of the steps. Okay, and it was done using these classes called mobile app step. You have as many mobile app steps as different steps you can do in the device processes. So you can extend or modify each of these classes in order to modify the icon that you want to see in the step, or you can modify the title, or you can modify something that you want in the step. Okay. Some of the examples of the icons that you can use are this. Okay, you can modify this icon, or you can modify this title. Some of the configuration that or the settings that you can change, you can do it manually in the environment. It doesn't need any kind of development. Okay, the only thing that needs a development is the icon change. Okay, because you can assign a standard icon, and you can add some resource that you want. Okay, with maybe your photo. Okay, and that's it. Okay, in the link below you can find there more information about this new feature. There's a lot of information, a lot of things that you can do with this feature enabled, and well, I hope you will like it too. Okay. Well, so that was my presentation. Okay. I want to thank again the sponsors that have made it possible, and well, I hope you liked it, and I encourage you to play with the device, because it is so complex to extend or customize or to create new menu items, but well, it's so interesting to play with, because you can do lots of things, and it's amazing. It's amazing. Okay, thank you all.
Thank you, Ivan. Thank you for sharing your experience of the warehousing app. I'm sure many people have been interested in that. I know often one of the big challenges is on warehousing complexities. So let's have a quick look at the questions here. Okay, so Mikhail is asking, is Microsoft going to convert the old framework to a new one?
Yes, and Microsoft is converting the old ones to the new ones. As you can see in the let me take a look here. Second, here you can see the old framework, okay, and the new one. In the old framework, you can see the sys obsolete method attribute. Sorry, that is saying that this class is going to be obsolete in this date. So Microsoft what is doing is to translate the old framework to the new one. But okay, I don't know which is the roadmap to do this. Okay.
Interesting. Okay. So any other questions? We have a few more minutes for any other questions. Lots of great feedback. Right. And Natalia is saying, fantástica presentación. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias a ti.
Fantastic, excellent. Really, I think a lot of people enjoyed the session, Ivan, because it's a topic that not many people cover. Okay, there is a question by Carmen who's asking, is there a way to stock take by license plate?
To stock take by license plate? I don't know I don't understand the question. What are you doing?
I think they want to somehow track the stock taking from a vehicle license plate. Is that correct, Carmen? Could you a license? Are you talking about a license plate, as in scanning a vehicle license plate? Could you elaborate, please? Pallet number. Sorry, pallet number. So Carmen is referring to pallet number. So can we link the stock to a pallet, basically using the app?
Yes, I think that you can link by configuration. You can do the pallet number is one of the fields that you can read in the device. So you can link by configuration. I don't know if with the standard configuration that we can do with the create default button, okay, but you can create a new configuration doing the link between the device application identifier and the pallet number. Okay.
Right, and actually, also just to concur, Andrew Lensack, fantastic for joining in there. He's saying yes, that the license plate is one of the main features of the warehouse management module. And Mustafa is asking how to ignore the LPID scan and auto-generate it.
Yes, it's so there is a checkbox in the menu item telling that you want to generate a new license plate ID instead of reading this one. Okay.
Fantastic, excellent. Okay, so Mikhail is asking on PEEP. It is talking about many fixes on GS1 features, and some people talk maybe about this feature refactoring for the next major release, which is set 0.27. Have you been basically what you're saying? Do you have any information about the fixes related to the GS1 feature, basically?
Okay, I'm sorry, but I don't have any information about this refactoring in the next version. I don't know. I don't know which is the problems. Which are the problems?
Fair enough. Yes, Ivan. I guess we need someone from Microsoft to really, to share that bit of information. But it's a very good question, Mikhail. And thanks again for Andrew for also confirming that the system generates the parameter for the generate license plate. So again, thank you, Andrew, for sharing your insight. So Carmen is following up with a question, which is when you have lots of serial numbers on a pallet number, it would be easy to scan by a pallet number for counting, as all the serial numbers will be associated with the pallet. Currently, we have to scan every batch number and serial numbers and the license plate. It takes a very long time.
Yes, I don't know how to do it. I remember that it needs a development to do this, but I don't know if the GS1 feature can overcome this behavior. I don't know it.
Excellent questions, guys. I have to say. So first of all, Ivan, thank you so much for going into your deep dive into the actual app.
Thank you too.
Going through the back end as well as the functionality. It's been really well received and lots of great questions around it. So again, Mikhail and everyone else is saying, obrigado for your presentation. Yes, okay. So we've got last two questions, guys. So Carmen has a question. I was praying GS1 was going to help. Thanks, Ivan. And then Mustafa is asking, okay, this is the final question, guys. So Mustafa is asking how to enable multiple workers to scan in the same time in one location.
I think that you can scan in the same location with multiple workers too. I think that you can do it.
Nice.
by standard.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Mustafa. It'll be interesting to know if there's any reason why you think you can't do it. But look, that's been really, really great. Really, really great, well-received session. Ivan, really thank you for joining us from Spain today. Do you have any final comments or announcements you'd like to make?
No, the final comment is to have a great summit, and I hope you have enjoyed my session, and I let me encourage you to use this framework to play with the device. Okay.
Excellent, excellent. So, Ivan, if you could share your contact details so that the community can keep in touch with you, that'd be fantastic. Because, you know, this topic is obviously a niche topic, so
Okay,
it's
I'm
always
going
good to connect.
to share it to the chat, okay? Because I don't
Thank you
have
so
the
much.
slide now. Okay.
Excellent, excellent, excellent.
Okay.
That'll be perfect. Thank you, Ivan.
Thank you too. Bye bye.
Awesome. That was